Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to News Tonight this Wednesday, the 3rd of June, Uganda Matters Day 2026. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa and with Elizabeth Nakakona, sign language interpreter. Let's have a look at the headlines.
The news headlines are brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
Tight security and Ebola measures define 2026 Matters Day celebrations. Catholics mark 140 years since the martyrdom of Uganda Matters. Gradual rise in Ebola cases raises concern across the country, while General Mhozi chairs joint security review amid expanding regional military footprint.
We're brought to you by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Keep your information up to date with your regulated financial institution. Customer deposits are protected up to 10 million Ugandan shillings. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes, it's News Tonight. Welcome aboard. Police, working together with other security agencies, implemented the restricted commemoration of the Uganda Matters Day to ensure adherence to standard operating procedures aimed at preventing the spread of Ebola. Unlike previous celebrations, this year's prayers were conducted inside the Basilica at the Catholic Shrine, which accommodated only a limited number of attendees. We have details from Namugongo.
The visible security deployment at Namugongo during this year's Matters Day commemoration ensured strict observance of standard operating procedures to prevent the spread of Ebola. Access to both the Anglican and Catholic shrines was limited, and most attendees were required to present special access cards. Those without cards were denied entry at the gates. At the Anglican shrine, even journalists experienced delays at the entrance, with some taking up to 2 hours to be cleared, almost towards the end of the first service. Movement within Namugongo, especially around the Catholic shrine, was restricted, with visible security deployments preventing the public from accessing the usual open prayer grounds. The main service was conducted inside the Basilica. Unlike previous celebrations, all roads remained open with minimal security deployment on major roads and no road closures or traffic diversions. The annual event, which typically attracts more than 700,000 pilgrims from Uganda and across the region, was officially cancelled this year, with the celebrations instead decentralized to local dioceses. Abdunasiri Lukomwa and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Catholics have been urged to emulate the faith, courage and steadfastness of the Uganda Martyrs and draw inspiration from their example amid life's challenges, particularly as the country continues to battle the Ebola outbreak. The call was made by the retired Papal Nuncio Archbishop Augustine Kasuja during the Matters Day Mass celebration at the Namugongo Catholic Shrine in the Basilica to commemorate the Uganda Matters Day.
Today marks the 140th anniversary of the martyrdom of the Ugandan martyrs. However, this year's commemoration has taken a historic turn, with the usual influx of pilgrims from across Uganda and neighboring countries absent due to restrictions prompted by the Ebola outbreak. For the first time in recent years, the Namugongo Martyrs' Day celebrations are being observed without the massive crowds that traditionally gather to honor the martyrs, as health authorities continue efforts to contain the spread of the disease. The Ebola outbreak that began the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo and later spread into Uganda forced the authorities to suspend several public gatherings, including this year's Martyrs' Day celebrations at Namugongo. Church leaders have since urged the faithful to commemorate the Uganda martyrs through prayer in their parishes, sub-parishes and homes, rather than traveling to pilgrimage sites, as part of efforts to prevent the further spread of the disease. At the Namugongo Catholic Martyrs Shrine, several masses were held under strict health and security measures aimed at preventing the spread of Ebola. Before the celebrations commenced, the church premises were disinfected, while worshippers and clergy observed the guidelines put in place. The main mass commenced at 10 a.m. and was presided over by retired Papal Envoy Archbishop Augustine Kasujja. He was joined by the diocesan clergy, led by Reverend Father Vincent Rubega, the parish priest in Namugongo Martyrs Parish, alongside other religious leaders.
And when he was near death, he said, "One cannot but choose to die at the hands of men and to cherish the hope."
In his homily, Archbishop Augustine Kasujja called on the faithful to emulate the faith, courage and unwavering commitment of the Uganda martyrs. He urged Christians to draw inspiration from the martyrs' example and remain steadfast in their faith as they face the various challenges confronting them, including the ongoing Ebola outbreak.
With that witness of the martyrs who shed their blood for Christ, encouraging one another in faith and in Christian virtues, His Holiness Pope Paul VI, pronouncing the words of canonization of the Catholic Ugandan martyrs on the 18th of October 1964, added for the first time in the history of canonization these words: "Nor must we forget those members of the Anglican Church who also died for the name of Christ." Those words are a part of the homily of canonization of our Ugandan martyrs. That statement at the canonization of the Ugandan martyrs continues to challenge us all, Christians of Uganda, Catholic and non-Catholic, to follow in the ecumenical footsteps of our forefathers.
After the Mass, the faithful marched out of the shrine before dispersing peacefully. The usually vibrant celebrations were not subdued, with no concerts or public festivities held due to restrictions associated with the Ebola outbreak and the tense public health situation. I'm Ivan Juko and Dan Lukomwa for UBC.
The Archbishop, Kampala Archdiocese, His Grace Paul Semogerere, has lashed out at illicit enrichment and exploitation tendencies that have come to characterize national politics, urging Christians to emulate the selfless life exhibited by the Uganda martyrs. Semogerere, in a sermon during Uganda Martyrs' Day celebrations held at Rubaga Cathedral, also urged Ugandans to observe standard operating procedures to curb the spread of Ebola.
Presiding over the Uganda Martyrs' Day celebrations at Rubaga Cathedral was Kampala Archbishop His Grace Paul Semogerere. In a place usually filled to capacity on such a day, the church was only half full, with the visible spaces maintained in strict observance of Ebola prevention guidelines. Each faithful who made their way to the cathedral first underwent temperature screening and hand sanitization. Archbishop Semogere led the homily, drawing his message from John chapter 12 verse 24 to 26, which teaches that unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. He said the Uganda Martyrs demonstrated a life of selflessness, resilience and courage from which millions continue to draw inspiration.
Yesu atugamba nti empeke y'engano bw'etegwa mu ttaka n'efa esigala yokka, naye bw'efa ebala ebibala bingi.
The Archbishop urged the faithful to uphold integrity, honesty and values that place the common good above personal interests. He criticized politicians who amass illicit wealth and exploit others for selfish gain, calling on leaders to embrace service above self and prioritize the marginalized.
Uganda Martyrs died because they refused to compromise their values, to compromise their faith. They chose honesty over political survival. So dear leaders, we urge you to remember that leadership is a duty to serve the public, not an opportunity to enrich yourselves or exploit others. Real leadership is measured by how much you improve the lives of ordinary Ugandans, not by the titles you hold or the powers you exercise. Remember always, respect must be earned, not given. And through actions, through consistent behavior that reflects qualities such as integrity, honesty and kindness.
He expressed confidence that Uganda would overcome the current Ebola outbreak and urged all citizens to observe Ministry of Health guidelines.
Dear brothers and sisters, as we face this challenge of Ebola, I urge you not to be paralyzed by fear. God is with us. Ebola is a serious threat, but we can defeat it if we remain disciplined, as the health workers encourage us.
Naye ffe ng'Abakristu tukubiriziddwa n'abantu ba Katonda ffenna waakiri tulondewo okufa ng'abajulizi naye nga tetuvudde ku mulamwa Kereziya gwe tulambikamu oba amateeka constitution yaffe.
Crispus Arinitwe reporting for UBC.
Christians across Africa and beyond have celebrated Martyrs' Day as well, virtually, with 200 at the Anglican site in Namugongo due to the outbreak of Ebola. During the scientific prayers, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, preached against segregation on tribe, religion or political basis. The government was represented by the newly appointed Minister for Public Service, General Edward Katumba Wamala.
The scientific prayers at the Anglican site in Namugongo were held under the tight Ebola standard operating procedures, whereby every individual could take about 5 minutes to be cleared. Only 200 were invited, that excluded journalists, and that made them to be blocked for several minutes before they were cleared. At the amphitheater, prayers kicked off at 9 a.m., led by the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, who preached against segregation on tribal, religion and political basis.
Let us emulate the spirit of unity despite our different tribes and regions. Let us promote things that can take our country to another level when we're united instead of fighting each other. Let us fight tribal hatreds. There are some people who may not get some jobs because they say, this one will not get a job because he or she belongs to a different tribe. This one belongs to a different region. This one belongs to a different status. May have experience, but the region, the tribe is different, so they miss it. The matters should help us to learn to value everyone's ability.
He tasked government to prioritize national health insurance once the oil money starts flowing.
I want to suggest the following as we build the spirit of the matters, the spirit of unity in Uganda. The national health insurance. We are struggling now with Ebola, and I must appreciate the Ministry of Health. And I want to appreciate Dr. Dana Twine because we have worked together and everything is going on well. But we need to continue establishing the national health insurance. I request the 12th Parliament to come up with a bill for national health insurance.
He also preached on the significance of the death of the martyrs and against any planned move to change the name of the site from Namugongo to Nachianja.
This is a real place called Namugongo. Why? Because people were dragged on their back. Others were wondering how the men who were vulnerable made it to this place.
The government was represented by the newly appointed Minister for Public Service, General Edward Wamala, who says the death of the martyrs should challenge the faithful to learn how to spare time for God and sacrifice for the country.
But the martyrs, because they believed in what they believed in, they sacrificed their lives. For us, we are not even ready to sacrifice something smaller. I've seen this as I was in this Ministry of Works. We are going to do a road which is beneficial to the individual and the community. And you say, please give us an inch of your land and we enlarge the road. And the person will not be able to sacrifice that small piece which is so small.
This year's Scientific Matters Day celebrations were held under the theme, Christ Our Peace, Breaking the Walls and Healing the Nation.
With only 200 people cleared to attend the scientific prayers here at Namugongo, the entire site appeared unusual. Few people, few speeches, even by midday, prayers were done. All this is because of the outbreak of Ebola. The hope is next year will be better. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Namugongo.
Various Christians gathered at the Munyonyo Martyrs Shrine as well for this year's Martyrs Day celebrations, where they were urged to remain steadfast in prayer and trust in God despite the ongoing Ebola outbreak in the country.
These celebrations attracted pilgrims from different parts of the country, with many arriving as early as 8 a.m. to take part in the memorial service honoring the Uganda martyrs. However, unlike previous years, strict health measures were observed at the same shrine. Every pilgrim was subjected to temperature screening and required to wash their hands before accessing the venue as part of efforts to prevent the spread of Ebola. The turnout was noticeably lower compared to previous Martyrs' Day celebrations, with scrutiny with security personnel deployed throughout the area to ensure both safety and compliance with health guidelines. The main mass began at 5 p.m. and was led by Monsignor Lawrence Semusu, who called upon Christians not to lose hope during challenging times, but instead strengthen their faith and prayer life.
Those of us who would have wanted or loved to go to Namugongo, the trek has been interrupted, but our faith has not been interrupted.
In his sermon, Monsignor Semusu reminded believers that while diseases and hardships may affect communities, they should never weaken people's relationship with God.
But the pilgrimage to holiness continues. Because Christ is alive in you.
He further encouraged Christians to use the period for self-reflection and to evaluate whether their actions reflect God's image and teachings. The Mass was attended by Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayewa, who praised the Uganda Matters for laying a strong foundation of faith that continues to inspire generations.
But I think it was a seed of Christianity in this country. That day they planted the seed of Christianity. That is the seed from which all of us are reaping.
Tayewa also urged Ugandans to remain vigilant against Ebola and commended the church for working closely with government in the fight against the disease.
So Ebola is real. We are doing whatever we can as a government. Our heroic health workers are doing all the sacrifices.
Pilgrims who attended the service expressed their gratitude for the opportunity to pray and reflected on the significance of matters witnessed in their lives.
We must change our ways in all the things that we do. If we are in business, how we conduct the business. If we are politicians or government workers, how we serve the people we must serve.
Look at the changes. That means that the matters are still prevailing. These saints, I worship them. I'm Joseph Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a saint's name. When you talk about Saint Barry Kudembe, we pray that he prays for us, the politicians, to have sense.
As part of the health precautions, Holy Communion was administered in the hands of believers to minimize physical contact and reduce the risk of disease transmission. Helen Barbara, Joseph Muyingo for UBC TV News.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mumutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, enendungu ya kusabula. Mikono tu, free of fire, free of fire, free of fire.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
Masaka Ju Hawaii. Omwanzi tumuleta soka Christopher Katama. Owulira otya kati nti owangudde?
Ndi musanyufu nnyo. Tewali muzadde ayinza obutasanyuka nga bamusasulidde omwaka mulamba. So nebaza nnyo MTN okulaba nti mpangudde. Era nkubiriza abazadde mwena abali eyo nyiga star emu65 star 80 # naawe oyinza okubeera omu mu baki mu bawanguzi.
And for those of you who pay school fees at those schools that don't use Momo, hey, mubatabukire mubagambe leta Momo wano, because you stand a chance to win a van for the school. This is the power of Momo.
They share an office,
Some work in the day, some at night. What they have in common: focus, dedication. That's what makes them champions. They also share something else: the reward of being one. The official beer of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Not for persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
UBC News Tonight. Welcome back from the break. Our Lady of Snow Virika Cathedral Parish in Fort Portal remained closed for Matters Day prayers following security guidelines to avoid the spread of Ebola virus. This was in anticipation of pilgrims from other places who were planning to trek to Virika Cathedral to celebrate the Matters Day.
Razori West Police, in collaboration with the National Ebola Task Force, issued a directive stopping the celebration of Matters Day masses in Razori region, stating that the region borders with DRC is at a high risk of Ebola virus.
Assumption is that they expect a number of people coming from Congo because of the 3rd of June. The number of Christians may come and attend masses.
There are other celebrations that are very clear to go on in the less high-risk regions. For us, because of our proximity to the epicenter, they have said no celebrations.
Today, the cathedral was seen closed and quiet, with police officers deployed to send back Christians turning up for prayers. Asmin Nasike, the RCC Fort Portal City, said the directive, however, does not affect normal Sunday masses with strict observance of the standard operating procedures.
We really don't want to come into a confrontation, but it's a means of protecting their lives and also protecting the lives of the wananchi that they take care of. But we are saying that only this Matters Day celebrations, the other Sunday activities, the church, the Sunday church services should continue.
With this directive, the Bishop of Fort Portal Diocese, Right Reverend Robert Muhirwa Akiki, however, delivered the Matters Day message to the Christians virtually on a local radio station. Bishop Muhirwa preached about patience, perseverance, and being strong in faith in reflection of Uganda matters and Jesus Christ who conquered death.
Muno bagenzi bange okwegambira amabana ga Mukama waitu Yesu Kristo ko Mukama waitu Yesu Kristo yatanziwe yabonesebwa betu mukumalira yafira msalaba akatuletera kujunua ndio tugambira ngo by his wounds we are healed abokonesebwa kwa Kristo tukatizibwa.
Some Christians were not happy with the directive. However, the Virika Cathedral Parish Priest Reverend Father Titus Winyi urged Christians not to be discouraged but pray from wherever they are. Their prayers will be answered.
Prayer doesn't mean to be in church all the time. You can pray in your room, you can pray wherever you are, and as long as the intention of prayer is there, God sees the inner and next stuff.
Our Lady of Snow Virika Cathedral Parish is the home of Fort Portal Catholic Diocese, which hosts Christians from all other parishes in the region.
In Lira Diocese, home to Uganda Matters Cathedral, the only cathedral in the region dedicated under the patronage of the Uganda Matters, Christians gathered in large numbers to commemorate their Patron's Day, the Uganda Matters, as we see in this report.
The Uganda Matters Cathedral, the seat of Lira Diocese, holds a special significance in the region's devotion to the matters. Established as the cathedral when the Diocese of Lira was created in 1968, the church was dedicated to the Uganda martyrs who were chosen as the patrons of the diocese. For decades, Lira Diocese has contributed one of the largest contingents of foot pilgrims to the annual Martyrs' Day celebrations at Namugongo. However, this year, faithful gather closer to home, turning the cathedral into a vibrant center of worship and remembrance. Despite the absence of the traditional pilgrimage, the celebrations retained its unique identity, complete with the energetic drumming and cultural expressions that have become synonymous with the diocesan faithful. Presiding over the celebration was the Bishop of Lira Diocese, Right Reverend Sanctus Lino Wanok. It was his first time leading Martyrs' Day celebration in the diocese on this occasion. In his homily, Bishop Wanok praised the unwavering faith of the young martyrs, urging young people to reflect on their lives and emulate the courage, integrity and commitment demonstrated by the martyrs.
These small little people, the youth, have shown what Christ wants for each one of us.
The bishop also used the occasion to address issues affecting the nation, particularly corruption, which he described as a growing threat to Uganda's development.
What a shame for us, President. We are not like other Rwanda defending the truth. And this regime should stop corruption and should go beyond just catching one person. It is not only one person. You should think it in the whole system. The whole system should be reshuffled so that it becomes the image of the blood of the martyrs of Uganda.
He expressed concern over reports of job sales and other corrupt practices, questioning the silence of those charged with ensuring accountability.
How corrupt am I?
The bishop further urged Christians to pray for the country's leaders, asking the spirit of the Uganda martyrs to guide them in serving with honesty, humility and dedication. UBC News.
Thousands of Christians across Uganda marked this year's Uganda Martyrs' Day from their local churches and homes after government cancelled the national celebrations at Namugongo due to the Ebola outbreak. In Gulu City, religious leaders have called on believers to use the occasion to pray for the nation and seek the intercession of the Uganda martyrs.
Mutabizo mukuru ku ekereziya ya Our Lady of Assumption e Kasese, Right Reverend Father Bishop Aquinas Kibiri asomozezza abakristo okulabira ku bajulizi mu byonna biba.
The wrath of Ebola virus in the year 2000, if I recall very well. Let us take this moment as a country, as a body of believers, to pray, among other intentions, through the intercession of our Uganda Matters, for God to intervene and keep us safe from this Ebola disease. And
unlike previous across the country following government directives aimed at preventing the spread of Ebola at Holy Rosary Parish in Gulu City, Christians gathered for a special mass to honor the Uganda Martyrs and pray for the nation. Father Kilmer urged Christians to emulate the courage and steadfast faith of the Uganda Martyrs, saying their sacrifice offers important lessons during difficult times.
Diocese of Gulu, we are so proud that in addition to these 22 Uganda Martyrs, we also have our own, and these are Blessed Dawudu Kelo and Jindoirwa, who are martyrs, and they form part of the Uganda Martyrs, bringing the total now to 24. This is a great joy for us and a joy to the entire church. It is an indication that it's possible to live a righteous and holy life before God.
The priest also noted that Gulu Diocese is proud to be associated with 2 of the 24 Uganda Martyrs, whose legacy continues to inspire believers across the region. He called on Christians to live righteous lives and remain committed to prayer and faith.
Kasese Diocese has been reselected to animate the 2027 National Martyrs' Day celebrations at Namugongo Catholic Shrine following this year's suspension of the event due to the Ebola outbreak in the country, where Kasese had fully prepared to lead the celebrations. However, the celebrations were today scientifically and partially held at Our Lady of Assumption amidst observance of SOPs as directed by government.
The main celebrator is Reverend Bishop Aquinas Francis Chibida, Bishop of the Diocese of Kasese. In his homily, challenged Christians to emulate the Uganda Martyrs by being exemplary in all that they do. He also urged them to observe social distancing and remain vigilant as they return to their homes.
For our country, let us pray for our health workers. They have a very, very delicate work to handle Ebola patients. You know it very well. Let us all be martyrs in our families. If we can't be martyrs of truth, if we can't be martyrs of fidelity, the celebrating of the martyrs of Uganda will not help us so much.
The bishop said that although Kasese did not lead the celebrations at the national level this year, the diocese has been allowed by the Uganda Episcopal Conference to animate the 3rd June 2027 celebrations. He thanked the government and the public for their enormous support towards this year's national celebrations despite their postponement.
I would like to thank all people of goodwill, starting with the government, the different ministries of the government, especially the Ministry of Tourism and other ministries that supported us during our preparations for Namugongo.
The vice chairperson of the steering committee for the 2026 celebrations, Joseph Nzukwa, announced the reselection of the Diocese of Kasese to animate next year's national celebrations. He called for continued mobilization of resources as preparations continue and plans are made to account for funds already spent.
We shall give you the full accountability of all that we have received and what we have spent, and probably our starting point for 2027.
Right Honorable Benson Kule Batarizare, the Prime Minister of the Rwenzururu Kingdom, hailed the government for its wise guidance regarding the Ebola outbreak.
Now we have been given another year. We should call that a blessing in disguise. Yes, we are aware Ebola has disorganized us, but let's use every happening as an opportunity. We should utilize this opportunity to ensure that we deepen our faith in the 2 years we have been given.
The Kasese Assistant Resident District Commissioner Justin Mohindo asked the general public to adhere to all guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health to curb the spread of the Ebola outbreak, including regular hand washing and observing social distancing.
What the government has done, and as security we have played our part. We have sensitized the community, and we have also observed that the SOPs are being observed.
In a related development, Christians at Kabuyiri Divine Mercy Shrine Catholic Church at Mpondwe border in Kasese district peacefully celebrated Uganda Matters Day while observing the standard operating procedures aimed at preventing the spread of Ebola as guided by the Ministry of Health. During the Uganda Matters prayers, Father Brian Masereka noted that the celebrations were peaceful despite being held at the local church level.
To observe the standard operating procedures as given to us by the government. Of course, a few Christians, to be realistic, we are not so aware because we are still at the beginning, we are still educating them.
Some Christians at Kabuyiri expressed their disappointment at celebrating without Congolese pilgrims who returned to their country following the postponement of the Namugongo celebrations.
Of Kasese and the Kabuyiri Shrine, we are totally not happy because this is where even we had welcomed the Congolese 1 month, 3 weeks back. We had welcomed the Congolese who are over 200 who are already moving to Kampala.
Catholics of the Uganda Matters Parish, Pokea, have celebrated Lives of Uganda Matters amidst threats of the Ebola outbreak in the DRC. Being at the border situated between Uganda in Arua City and DRC, church leaders of the parish ensured that no one from outside the parish was invited for the occasion.
Here at St. Michael Chapel, everyone who came to attend the Uganda Matters Day celebration has to first wash hands before accessing the venue.
We are aware of the virus. You are supposed to wash your hands before you come in.
According to parish priest of Pokea Catholic Parish, Father Gilbert Orodio, commemoration of Uganda Matters Day in the area was under the guidance of Uganda Episcopal Conference, a reason it was restricted to Christians of the parish only.
We are celebrating this important feast in our parish under the guidance of the Uganda Episcopal Conference. We have only restricted the parishioners to be the one celebrating. That is the restriction we have put, because also enlarging it into a bigger community will also gather other people. But at least it is a family celebration. It's only for the members of this parish.
Father Orodio also confirmed that Pokea Parish is in touch with authorities of Arua City to ensure proper dissemination of preventive measures against Ebola virus.
When we were told that this condition is just around our border, we have encouraged our people to be vigilant in observing also people who are strange who come to our community, such that they can also now get themselves protected. You know, controlling a mass like this is not an easy, because most of our borders are also porous. The security is alert, and also our scout members are also the very people who are also trained partly by the security.
While preaching during the celebration, Reverend Father Richard Eneko, the rector of Pokea Seminary, disclosed that sacrifice by the Uganda Matters has remained significant as living testimonies of change among Ugandans.
If you admire anybody enjoying life, that enjoyment is equivalent to the sacrifice he has already made. If there's any enjoyment that comes without sacrifice, that is the enjoyment leading you to death. The Uganda Matters have taught us the spirit of sacrifice. What you enjoy in life must be equivalent to the sacrifice you make. Uganda Matters there, or we marimbari. The good news is the sacrifice you make for God, all in the name of your faith, is not in vain.
Joseph Odama, UBC News.
Health authorities in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are continuing to monitor an Ebola outbreak that has seen a steady rise in reported cases in recent weeks. As officials intensify surveillance and conduct tracing efforts, public awareness remains a critical tool in preventing further spread. Here is a closer look at the latest figures, how the virus spreads and the steps everyone can take to stay safe.
As of June 3rd, 2026, the Ministries of Health in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda have reported the following Ebola outbreak figures. In the DRC, 344 confirmed cases, 60 confirmed deaths, and 116 suspected cases. In Uganda, 15 confirmed cases, 1 confirmed death, 12 recoveries or discharges, and 668 contacts are currently under follow-up. These numbers indicate a gradual increase in Ebola cases, highlighting the need for continued vigilance and preventive measures. How does the Ebola virus spread? The origin? Scientists believe that fruit bats are the natural hosts of Ebola virus. Spread among animals. The virus can spread between animals. Infected wildlife, particularly apes and porcupines, can transmit the virus to other animals. How humans become infected? Humans can become infected through a close contact with sick or dead infected animals, especially in rainforest environments. Person-to-person transmission. Once a person is infected, Ebola spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids such as blood, saliva, sweat, vomit, urine, or other contaminated materials and surfaces. On average, one infected person can transmit the virus to other people if appropriate preventive measures are not followed. Scientists estimate that the incubation period, the time between infection and the appearance of symptoms, is 2 to 21 days. Once the virus enters a community, it can spread rapidly through direct contact with infected individuals, their bodily fluids, or contaminated surfaces. How can you protect yourself? The most effective preventive measures include: avoid unnecessary physical contact, including handshakes, hugging, and other forms of close contact. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean running water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid unnecessary contact with wild animals, especially bats, apes, and porcupines. Report suspected symptoms immediately and follow guidance from health authorities. Current areas affected. To date, the Ebola outbreak in the DRC has been confirmed in the provinces of Ituri, North Kivu, and South Kivu. Cases linked to the DRC outbreak have also been reported in Uganda's capital, Kampala. Health authorities continue to monitor the situation closely and urge the public to remain alert, follow preventive measures, and seek medical attention promptly if symptoms develop.
Uganda has so far recorded 15 Ebola cases, including 1 death, according to the Ministry of Health. The situation calls for heightened vigilance to prevent further spread. Our crew went downtown in Kampala and found that public transport terminals have stepped up the meet health guidelines by stepping up hand-washing facilities provided by the government. However, many arcades still lack hand-washing facilities, including Chikubo and surrounding areas, calling for more intervention.
As the conversation regarding Ebola continues in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Minister of Health in Uganda, as of 2nd June 2026, confirmed that Uganda had 15 cases of Ebola, including 1 death. Now, we went to downtown Kampala to ascertain the progress on how Ugandans are heeding to the advice of the Minister of Health regarding the prevention of the spread of the Ebola disease. At various bus terminals, we confirmed the presence of hand-washing facilities where everyone who was accessing these terminals was subjected to washing hands thoroughly, including the use of the temperature gun to ascertain the temperature of the clients.
The government came in
to tell us what has happened so far at the ground. We've been trained how to use those containers we have been given, and those containers contains water and also some liquid soap. And on behalf of that, we have also some masks aside. Whoever comes as a passenger outside, before he comes inside the bus park, he has to wash hands. After that, we direct him to put on mask. Why? To avoid some air between the other one and the other one.
Tutumukiriza kuingira munda tubagamba bashituse bafe ne bamuteka ne balabanga obali ali kulomba saizo baneda
ne batupimako tusanga bali na amazzi tunabako awanjirikale tuburabawo obuntu ngobo.
Now from the bus terminals we headed to other areas including the arcades within the town. Now what we found here was very interesting. While there are hand washing facilities at some entrances of the arcades, these facilities are not being used. We are able to see, or we were able to identify, that there are no hand washing facilities and it is business as usual. Now someone would ask themselves, from the area where we were at the bus terminals, where people are heeding to the advice by the Ministry of Health, but as they leave those areas, they go and mingle with other people in arcades who have not even washed their hands. What does that communicate? Meaning there is a lot that still needs to be done in this specific area, downtown Kampala.
Kale wentambula ndaba ku miryango batandise kuteeka kwa amazzi naye abamu tebanabifaako abamu bayingira buyingizi nga tebanaabye naye ngezaako bagamba bagezeeko kwekuuma kuba obulwadde buno tebulina ddagala.
We also went to one of the busiest areas in the central business area, that is the Chikubo. We found that there were no hand washing facilities despite the huge numbers of people who come to access various services in this area. Now health officials continue to advise Ugandans to wash their hands to avoid crowded places. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
That is the situation to do with Ebola. It has led to a whole event of the Uganda Matters celebrations to be cancelled. That means we need to really be vigilant, as we saw in that story. If church can close such an event, think about yourself. Now, in more news, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has chaired a high-level meeting of the Joint Staff Committee at the Special Forces Command Headquarters to assess Uganda's security posture and regional military footprint. The session convened the military's top leadership, including the Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, Service Chiefs, Chief of Joint Staff, Division Commanders, Chief of Staff, Commanders of Independent Units, and members of the Joint Staff. The committee reviewed the operational progress of Ugandan troops deployed in key regional missions, including the DRC, Somalia, South Sudan, and Equatorial Guinea. This high-level meeting engagement with the Chief of Defense Force serves as a vital vehicle for aligning national defense strategies and maintaining regional stability. Three years ago, Kibuku district became the birthplace of Uganda's most ambitious poverty eradication program. Today, millions of households have accessed the parish development model funds, which are aimed at moving communities into the money economy. But as beneficiaries count gains, government is racing to improve repayment and unlock the next phase of transformation.
Feb 2022, Kibuku district became the birthplace for the parish development model. President Yoweri Museveni launched the program as a government flagship strategy to fight household poverty.
This is an NRM manifesto program.
For many that day, the 1 million shillings meant more than money, but hope, investment, and a new start.
Now we have changed. We shall get the money and give it to your government at the parish.
3 years later, PDM has become one of Uganda's largest financial inclusion programs. The Secretariat reports over 3 trillion shillings disbursed to about 10,580 parish circles nationwide. Nearly 4 million Ugandans have benefited.
I have an example of a Eastern young man. He's a youth. He got 1 million shillings from PDM. He bought 4 pigs. He reared them for a period of time, about 6 months, and they multiplied. And he sold them at once. He sold about 9 pigs at once. He got a total of about 4 million shillings. After getting the money, he used 1.5 to buy a cow, so he entered into dairy.
PDM supports enterprises based on profitability, scalability, and data. In Elgon, 3 stand out: dairy, poultry, and piggery.
We have about 7 priority enterprises that we gave them. We advise people based on data in terms of profitability, in terms of management, in terms of scalability. And so out of that, majority of the people in the Elgon have chosen about 3.
Such stories are increasing across eastern Uganda, with households growing assets, diversifying enterprises, and boosting incomes. However, repayment remains a key concern. PDM, being a revolving fund, money must return to support others.
The repayment period came at the time of politics, during elections, and so many politicians told people that this money was a token. That's what I'm hearing from the communities, from the field. People are getting surprised that they were supposed to pay. So I think there was a problem of communication, and so what we are going back right now, we need to do as ministry or as PDM Secretariat is to tell the people the truth.
For now, field visits show some challenges in Elgon and eastern Uganda, where farmers still use local dairy breeds, producing only 2 to 3 liters of milk.
So what I think as priority for that region, if we have to promote dairy, is to increase productivity, to improve productivity through maybe breed improvement, to improve the breeds, through AI.
Market access is another challenge, but government is shifting focus from cash distribution to value chain development. Plans including linking farmers to inputs, extension, storage, aggregation, and markets.
1 million has to produce money that enables you to access that is missing. But you don't use the seed capital to spend on the personal needs immediately.
The next phase of the parish development model is more ambitious. Government wants beneficiaries to move from small enterprises to suppliers, processors, and industrial players.
You know, when the president was moving around assessing the performance of PDM, he was in some place, I think it was in the West, where they told him eggs have now increased in volumes. He said, if you increase in volumes, then we can now bring a factory. If the eggs have increased, we can do a factory that can process eggs into baby feeds.
1 million shillings is seen to be truly building lasting wealth in the Elgon, Busoga, Teso sub-regions and beyond. Change is visible with new livestock, new enterprises, and new hope. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Leaders in Bundibujo district have hailed President Yoweri Museveni's appointment of Harriet Ntabazi as State Minister for Lands, describing it as a breakthrough that places the district at the center of national decision-making.
The leaders expressed confidence that Ntabazi's presence in the Lands Ministry will amplify Bundibujo's voice and accelerate solutions to long-standing land challenges.
As church, we are so grateful. As Bundibujo, we are so grateful. As community, we are so grateful. I happen to be the secretary of the Inter-Religious Council of Bundibujo. We had a meeting yesterday but one. We are so happy having heard about the appointment of our own daughter.
We appreciate the president for considering us. Actually, this appointment is not only for the constituency, because Harriet's influence is beyond the constituency. It goes all the way out of the district of Bundibujo, even the whole region of Rwenzori. In the region, imagine immediately she was made a member of parliament. As soon as she passed through, all of the members of parliament in the region appointed her and made her their chairperson.
Speaking to journalists, the leaders also renewed calls for the establishment of a cocoa processing factory.
Farmers, who are the voters, are being suffocated by the middlemen. The price is never stable. But we believe once value is added on the cocoa, people will have money and will develop this country.
NRM District Secretary Edward Kakonge Chifunga revealed that land had already been identified for the proposed factory, although the available acreage was deemed insufficient for the planned investment.
So now that she's back, she can at least continue where she had stopped, to also lobby for Bundibujo to have a factory that can have value addition to our product of cocoa. And that is very key for Banabwamba. And the others, like areas that have no electricity, much as she's in lands, she can network with other ministries, the line ministries.
And I pray that my honorable minister goes ahead working positively with others, so that with the time she can even get a team of NRM. We get an exposed engagement with the other districts so that we learn more. And even if those guys, if they learn that Bundibujo has done a lot, they will also be borrowing some leaves to come and get some engagements from here.
With cocoa remaining the district's economic lifeline, leaders are optimistic that Ntabazi's return to government will inject fresh momentum into the long-awaited factory project. For UBC News, I am Sudat Kaye.
In a fast-moving world, why are we still stuck with paperwork? Signing here, stamping there, moving from office to office. It's exhausting. Now, there's a better way. With UG Pass, you can securely prove your identity, sign documents, and access government services anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stress. Everything is instant, safe, secure, and government-backed. UG Pass, your identity secured. Available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. UG Pass is a product of NITA Uganda.
For years, Matters Day has been more than a religious celebration for thousands of Ugandans. It has also been a lifeline for small-scale traders who depend on the annual influx of pilgrims to earn a living. But this year, silence has replaced the usual crowds at Namugongo, leaving many vendors counting losses instead of profits.
The suspension of this year's Martyrs' Day celebrations at both the Catholic and Anglican shrines in Namugongo and Kampala suburb has dealt a heavy blow to the business community, especially small-scale entrepreneurs. A visit to the vicinity of the shrines paints a gloomy picture on a day that is traditionally associated with celebration, bustling activity and quick earnings from hundreds of thousands of pilgrims who travel from across Uganda and beyond its borders.
The Namugongo celebration business has not worked. It has, instead of profits, it has brought to me and to everyone who works around this place, it has added even more loss, because this year we are broken down. Like 1 month, 2 months ago, our shops were broken, our business were destroyed, and the only hope to recover our loss was this Martyrs' Day was our only target.
The hardest hit are women engaged in small-scale business, including the sale of food, religious artifacts such as rosaries, clothing, and other merchandise. Many had stocked goods in anticipation of strong sales and hoped to earn enough to meet pressing financial obligations, including school fees and requirements following the reopening of the new school term. Instead, many are now left disappointed and uncertain about how they will recover their investments. I expected to make good money at Namugongo. At least I make my children happy. But that's impossible. We are now confused and wondering.
But right now it is gone, it is a loss, it is unexpected, it is more than you can even imagine.
The government of Uganda recently announced the indefinite suspension of Martyrs' Day celebrations at Namugongo and other related gatherings as part of measures to contain the spread of the Ebola virus. Health authorities fear that the massive crowds usually associated with the celebrations could accelerate the spread of the deadly virus, which has already claimed the life of a Congolese national and infected several others in Uganda. While the decision has largely been welcomed as necessary to safeguard public health, the situation on ground at Namugongo vividly illustrates the economic toll that disease outbreaks can have on ordinary citizens whose livelihoods depend on public gatherings and tourism-related activities. I own a Waragi factory. Our liquor is called V8. We had this place 2 weeks ago at 750,000 shillings to sell alcohol. All that is lost. For many traders, this year's Martyrs' Day will be remembered not for the crowds and commerce they had anticipated, but for the empty streets, unsold merchandise, and missed opportunities brought about by the Ebola outbreak. Dennis Igoa for UBC.
Leaders in the local economic development and investment committees in Karamoja have called on government to expand the broadcast coverage of UBC Totore FM beyond the 9 districts of the sub-region. They say that weak signal reception, especially in the districts far from Moroto, has limited access to government information due to mountainous terrain. The concerns were raised during a stakeholders engagement in Moroto organized by the Ministry of Local Government to strengthen local economic development, investment, promotion, and service delivery through enhanced media outreach.
Of local government, through Ministry of Local Government, adopted the investment committees purposely to promote lead and investment in their respective local governments. So in each district, all heads of departments are members of that committee. The uniqueness of this committee is that in each local government on that committee, it borrows representation from the media. There is a media person on that committee.
Thanking His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for his considered view to Karamoja sub-region, for ensuring that the masses, the population, are informed on all government programs, interventions, and plans.
This is going to aid the promotion of government programs, PDM, yoga, and involving, there was a complaint from a regional zone microfinance support center person saying it is hard for him to actually go to the districts of Kotido and other districts. So, but we want to give assurance that as government and as the ministry, we've been in touch with them, and this is going to be handled.
Upon this directive that
In the world of sport, the Federation of Uganda Football Associations, FUFA, has announced the cancellation of the Uganda Cranes International friendly matches against Tanzania and Madagascar that were scheduled for the 5th and 8th of June in Marrakech, Morocco. According to FUFA, the cancellation was communicated through match agents and attributed to sanitary and public health considerations as directed by the relevant authorities. The Uganda Cranes delegation had already arrived in Morocco ahead of the fixtures, and team members are now expected to return to their respective destinations.
Regrettably announced that our two international friendly matches that were supposed to be played against Tanzania and Madagascar here in Marrakech, in Morocco, have been cancelled. We have received the communication from our match agents, the MC Sport, who have also received the communication from the Federation, the Royal Moroccan Football Federation, who also received instructions from the Moroccan government that the matches should be called off, and the reason they have given us is due to sanitary and public health considerations. So we've been here 6 countries. Burundi has been here, Tanzania, Rwanda, Equatorial Guinea, Madagascar, Uganda. All those matches have been called off. So as we talk now, we are doing the preparations to make sure our players fly back to their respective destinations. We had almost not almost, everybody had arrived. The full team was here. The last person to arrive here was Jordan yesterday, but everybody was in camp.
It's a big disappointment because we know the importance of playing international friendly games to prepare, because we are also the hosting country. So everybody is expecting a lot from Uganda. So unfortunately we had to cancel in March the training camp now again. This is hard. It's a very big disappointment. It goes also for me because I contacted some players for a long time, but there was always a problem. It could be injuries of not the right time. So now some players, they were here. So I was looking forward to work with them and to see with them. Also about our local players who never worked with me before, who played a good season in their clubs. So it was a really good opportunity, but unfortunately, that's a part of life.
That is Paul Poot, Uganda Cranes head coach, breaking the news of how friendly matches in preparations for the upcoming AFCON and other engagements have been cancelled. News not good, but the cause is Ebola. Please be vigilant. That is all we had for you. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa with Elizabeth Nakakon and the whole team. We wish you the best of the night. Do not miss Behind the Headlines.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.